Welcome to Last Dawn Stories channel. I was originally the least favored black rabbit of the rabbit clan, but by chance, I formed a marriage bond with the black dragon. I even bore 9 children for the nearly extinct black dragon lineage, and from then on, he doted on me endlessly. Yet, timid and fearful, I lived a reclusive life deep in the bamboo forest, rarely showing my face. 1,000 years later, I unexpectedly heard he was taking the princess of the Golden Pheasant clan as his concubine. I was lost in despair, despondently packing my belongings to leave. Unexpectedly, the princess of the Golden Pheasant clan came to visit. You mongrel black rabbit must have been sent by the rabbit clan to bewitch Lord Black Dragon. No wonder he rejected my marriage proposal. It turns out you got there first. She poured the Samadhi true fire into my mouth without distinguishing right from wrong. She also branded scars on my face, brutally dug out my heart, and threw it into the furnace. At the brink of death, my husband arrived belatedly with our 9 children. The Golden Pheasant Princess smugly stepped forward to greet them. Although the black rabbit is lowly, her exquisite heart is a crucial medicine for Kathy's heart condition. 3 days ago, Black took the children to the 9th heaven to receive rewards. The most prestigious killer rabbit of the rabbit clan, my younger sister, also went along. At that time, they said they would return home this afternoon. My younger sister also joked about coming to visit the mansion. I was originally happy, but now only sadness remains. Back in the day, Black doted on me deeply, indulging me to live secluded in the bamboo grove for 1,000 years without worldly concerns. But lately, he's been acting somewhat strange. He always sighs and groans to me. It seems there's something he can't bring himself to say. An inexplicable unease settled in my heart, until a few days ago, when I couldn't resist going out to play. I only just accidentally heard that my husband is about to take a concubine, whether from demons or immortals. The rumors all sound convincing. Even my mother wrote to ask if I had fallen out of favor. My sisters from the same litter even wanted to sever ties with me, fearing my potential divorce would tarnish their marriage prospects. Recalling Black's recent unusual behavior, I grew increasingly uneasy. My heart was filled with bitterness, and tears welled up uncontrollably. After all, marrying Black was considered marrying above my station. As the most despised black rabbit in the rabbit clan, even getting married was a stroke of luck for me. Yet I became entangled with the dark dragon 1,000 years ago. He held me in his palm and, in a daze, I bore him 9 children. Indeed, 1,000 years have passed. He must have grown weary of me by now. I sighed and returned to the bamboo grove in solitude. Just as I was packing my belongings in disgrace, I heard a commotion at the door. I prefer tranquility, and there was no one else in the mansion to disturb me. Everything was done by my own hands. Not understanding what was happening, I decided to go over and investigate. There stood a young woman, dressed entirely in fiery red. Her eyebrows were furrowed in anger. She clearly wasn't someone to be trifled with. Hearing my movement, the woman quickly turned to look at me. After sizing me up, she hesitantly spoke. "Why is there a mixed-fur black rabbit in the mansion? Could you be Madam Snow?" "Impossible. Madam Snow must be a noble white rabbit. Now I understand why Lord Black Dragon rejected my marriage proposal. The rabbit clan secretly slipped someone in." She scoffed and strode toward me. I blinked. I never expected the rumors to be true, only for the marriage proposal to be rejected by the Black Dragon. Before I could even feel happy, a slap from her left me dazed. "Don't think I'll fear you just because you have Madam Snow backing you." She gripped my neck, her eyes icy cold. My heart raced with panic, and I quickly spoke up. "I am Madam Snow, all because I'm a lowly black rabbit, born with weak spiritual power, and the rabbit clan ostracizes those of different colors. My mother named me Snow so that I could survive. When I first met Black Dragon, he laughed at how my name didn't match my true form. Back then, I couldn't explain it to him, and now I'm even more at a loss for words. Kathy clearly hasn't met the rumored Madam Snow, and she doesn't believe I'm a black rabbit." Seeing her palm flames about to burn my face, I cried out again, "I really am Mrs. Snow." Bearing the pain of the slap on my cheek, I looked urgently into Kathy's disdainful eyes. A mocking sneer tugged at the corner of her lips. "A black rabbit named Snow White? Are you trying to fool me? What's more, Lord Black Dragon's family has gone to the 9th heaven. You can't deceive me." I was at a loss for words, and quickly pulled the luggage from my back. I fumbled around for the matriarch's jade token, and carefully showed it to her. Kathy's eyes immediately widened, and she snatched my luggage. "You thief! How dare you steal the mistress's token?" She tore open my package without a word. Seeing the items fall out one by one, she became even more shocked. "This is dragon scale, and this This is even a baby dragon's eggshell, you thief, I'll purge you on behalf of Lord Black Dragon." As he spoke, the 3 flavors true fire shot past my eyes. My heart swelled with even greater grievance. I thought these things should prove my identity. How could they confirm I'm a thief? I quickly shook my head in tears, dodging Kathy's flames in a panic. "I really am Mrs. Snow. Stop it now. If you hurt me, Black will never let you off." As soon as these words were spoken, Kathy's expression grew even uglier. She was the princess of the Golden Pheasant clan, exceedingly proud. Having been harshly rejected by the Black Dragon earlier had already been hard for her to accept. Now that I brought up the Black Dragon, it drove her even more frantic. In an instant, Kathy seemed like a completely different person. Her sharp nails clamped onto my face, leaving several bloody scratches. She narrowed her eyes, filled with disgust. "It's just a black rabbit, dead is dead." The 3 flavors true fire instantly rushed into my mouth, the pain-making tears streamed down my face. With my low spiritual power, I couldn't endure the scorching flames at all. I struggled to beg Kathy to stop, but she remained unmoved. Fortunately, though my throat was burned, my body unexpectedly didn't turn to ashes. After burning for half an hour, Kathy was a little confused. She looked down at her palm. "You can actually resist my karmic fire." Meanwhile, my ears were ringing, and I couldn't hear her words clearly. I felt suffocated by the pain throughout my body. With a constant pulling sensation in my abdomen, fine beads of sweat kept breaking out on my forehead. I let out a bitter laugh. Only then did I realize why the Black Dragon Lord didn't take me to the 9th heaven with him. It turns out I was actually pregnant, with a little dragon egg silently protecting me from within. But if this continues, I fear even this child won't be able to hold on. Seeing that she couldn't burn me to death, Kathy turned her gaze to my face. "You rabbit folk with your delicate, youthful looks must have bewitched many male immortals. If I ruin your face, surely the Dragon Lord will regret having abandoned me." She couldn't help but let out a smug chuckle, looking down at me. Barely clinging to life, in her hand materialized a scorching red-hot iron blade, which she waved menacingly before my face. It sizzled instantly, and the smell of burnt flesh filled the air. I tried to struggle, but I couldn't resist her assault. I just felt a dampness on my face, and soon the smell of blood gradually covered the smell of burning. Only then did Kathy stop, pulling me to the edge of the pond. Tears instantly covered my entire face as I gazed at my reflection in the water. My beauty was utterly ruined, and I had become mute. If Black were to return, he probably wouldn't recognize me. For a moment, I wished I could just die. Only Kathy's laughter echoed through the bamboo grove as I hopelessly closed my eyes. Like a ragged doll, I was thrown to the ground. Kathy reached into her bosom and retrieved a magical artifact. The ground suddenly trembled, and in an instant, the paper transformed into a massive cauldron. "Little Black Rabbit, you shouldn't have provoked me. What does it matter if the Black Dragon Lord favored you? He still abandoned you in the bamboo forest to fend for yourself," she muttered to herself, a mocking glint flashing in her eyes. "After all, I'm still the princess of the Golden Pheasant clan. Taking the life of a mere rabbit is nothing. By then, I'll just say I have a heart condition and need your exquisite heart. Surely, Lord Black Dragon will grant a little respect to my Golden Pheasant clan, which is under the Phoenix clan." She lifted her chin slightly, arrogant as a peacock. She slapped my face repeatedly until blood oozed from the corner of my mouth before she stopped. I swallowed the metallic taste in my mouth, powerless to fight back. Touching my still flat belly, my heart ached with sorrow. I couldn't save myself, nor could I save my unborn child. Lying on the ground, all I could manage were hoarse, ragged gasps. Kathy watched my misery with growing delight. She flipped me over with her foot and stomped hard on my chest. "Using a rabbit's heart for alchemy is a first for me. If it fails, I'll just feed it to the dogs." She giggled as her sharp nails pierced through my chest in an instant. The pain made me vomit blood uncontrollably. Stunned, I looked at her wrist planted on my chest and instinctively stepped back, but the next second, she tore out my heart. The pulsating organ was instantly thrown into the furnace, scorched by divine flames. I opened my mouth, spitting blood numbly. Clutching my hollow chest, I stared at her with a deathly pale face. Unable to stand any longer, I collapsed to the ground. Seeing me in such a wretched state, Kathy burst into laughter instead. "Overestimating your abilities, you mangy rabbit. I'm the princess of the Golden Pheasant clan. What the hell are you?" I endured the excruciating pain, reaching out to retrieve my heart from the furnace. But no matter how I tried, I couldn't grasp it. The world before me grew darker, and I thought I was surely going to die. But suddenly, my body warmed up. In an instant, a warmth slowly surged from my abdomen. I was somewhat startled, and a sense of unease washed over me. Closed my eyes immediately to examine the spiritual energy source in my abdomen. Only then did I realize that the dragon egg inside me was using its own spiritual energy to sustain my life. But it hadn't even reached 3 months, it couldn't possibly endure such depletion. Anxious beyond measure, I quickly engaged in a spiritual dialogue with the dragon egg, trying to make the child give up on saving me, to preserve its own life, yet the tiny dragon egg stubbornly emitted spiritual energy on its own, as obstinate as its father. In a daze, I saw a small purple dragon. Mother, your child is willing to exchange life for life. Among the dragon's 9 offspring, the 10th is destined to face a heavenly calamity. This child was always superfluous. To die for my mother is my willing choice. Having spent 3 months with my mother, this child is content. My heart trembled as a golden light suddenly flashed through the dark space. The dragon egg gradually dissipated, turning into specks of light that flew toward my hollow chest. Tears streamed down my face as I reached out helplessly to grasp the translucent glimmers, but nothing could be held onto anymore. My body trembled uncontrollably. Unable to sense even a trace of my child's presence, my cries instantly turned into a mournful wail, and I clutched my chest, struggling on the ground, trying to get up. Seeing this, Kathy frowned tightly. She walked towards me irritably, and stomped hard on my abdomen. Shut up, if you keep making noise, I'll throw your whole body in. I froze for a moment, instantly turned to glare at her, my eyes brimming with hatred. My innate timidity vanished in an instant. If I'd had the strength, I would have gladly devoured her head alive right then. Seeing my gaze grow increasingly terrifying, Kathy was somewhat surprised. She swallowed, she snorted coldly, then raised her finger again, daring to stare at me like that. It seems you don't want your eyes anymore. She let out a scornful laugh. As she approached me, I viciously spat a mouthful of bloody pus onto her face. You wretch! Do you know I'm the princess of the Golden Pheasant clan? How dare you show such disrespect? Kathy, furious, yanked my hair and slammed me hard onto the ground. Dizzy and lightheaded for a long while, blood from my forehead dripped and splattered all over the ground. With great difficulty, I blinked my eyes, emitting eerie and terrifying gasps. In a daze, I saw 10 blurry figures in the distance, tears uncontrollably filling my eyes. Black, Lord Black Dragon. Kathy's joyful voice drowned out my call as she rose and rushed toward them. She performed a perfectly proper bow. Forgetting her blood-streaked face, only when she met Black's disdainful gaze did she realize her impropriety, quickly raised her hands to tidy herself up, smiling awkwardly, yet her resentment toward me grew stronger, as she pointed a finger in my direction. Lady Snow, for her own selfish reasons, brought a mixed-breed black rabbit up here. Perhaps the Dark Dragon Lord is unaware that Lady Snow has let a wolf into the house. What she brought in is nothing but a lowly thief. Kathy caught her red-handed. Look, isn't this Madame Snow's jade pendant? She giggled coyly, swaying her alluring figure. As it happens, Kathy has a heart condition and was missing one crucial ingredient, so we peeled out her heart to use for medicine. Black Dragon's hand, clutching the jade token, trembled, and his face instantly changed dramatically. When he looked in my direction, his gaze met my hopeless eyes, and I lay in a sea of blood, smiling miserably. No longer able to maintain my human form, I transformed back into my black rabbit original form. Who else in the bamboo forest could be the black rabbit but me? Kathy's eyes darted around, quickly sensing that something was off with Black. Her heart pounding, she immediately shielded my battered body. Lord Black, where is Lady Snow? I've heard that Lady Snow is a beauty of unparalleled charm, a true first-rate stunner, but alas, she lives deep within the bamboo forest, unseen by ordinary folk. Now that you're going to the heavenly court to receive your reward, and you've brought a rabbit with you, did Lady Snow go along as well? Kathy greatly admires Lady Snow and truly wishes to meet her. She offered Black a faint smile, but his eyes were icy, and he raised his hand to push her away. Kathy was anxious and immediately cried out, clutching her chest in grief. She tried to fall into Black's arms, scaring him into instinctively backing away a few steps. Black's gaze immediately fell on Kathy. Looking down at her, Kathy thought Black had noticed her, feeling secretly pleased, and let out a delicate whimper. My body is weak, and my heart condition often acts up. Lord Black, you are so mighty. Surely you wouldn't refuse to give me a lowly, mongrel rabbit for my treatment. Just look, that rabbit has such feeble spiritual power. It's only by heaven's mercy that it managed to take human form. A lowly insect with such meager spiritual power, dead is dead. She pursed her lips, glancing left and right at the children, yet they were all dragons. Not a single white rabbit among them, only a mottled gray rabbit hid among them, trembling as it stared at her. "Oh, so this is Mrs. Snow? Why does she look so disheveled?" Her voice trembled with disbelief. The person before her was plain-looking, not even a purebred white rabbit. She really couldn't understand how Black Dragon could fall for such an ugly rabbit. "What nonsense are you spouting? This is our aunt." Chandler was the first to step forward, shielding my sister behind him. He hadn't yet seen me, barely alive, in the distance, just treating Kathy like those other women who admired the Black Dragon, running to her father to deliberately catch his attention. Originally, the brothers had been joyfully discussing the gifts from the celestial god. Only after hearing Kathy's increasingly disrespectful words did they all turn to look at her. What does it matter if her spiritual power is weak? Even the celestial god was once a frail feathered serpent. With diligent cultivation, even an earthworm is not inferior to a god born of noble blood. If we're talking about noble status, in our eyes, you're nothing more than a wild chicken dreaming of becoming a phoenix. Chandler sneered, drawing his long sword and pointing it at the boastful Kathy. Her eyes were red, and her face was so flushed it looked as if blood would drip from it. She was about to explain something when a pebble hit her face, instantly bruising it. The hot-tempered second son's face was full of menace, quite similar to his aunt. He was tossing a pebble in his hand, ready to forcefully hit Kathy's face the moment she spoke. "My children have known how to cherish me since they were little. Back in the day, as an unwanted black rabbit, I devoted myself to rigorous cultivation. Everyone said I could never take human form, yet through sheer determination, I succeeded in my transformation. Though my body remained frail, it was considered a miracle among the rabbit clan. This was what caught the Dark Dragon Lord's attention, who sought me out, this little black rabbit, claiming he wanted to be friends. Unexpectedly, it was love at first sight, and I thought of him day and night. He said he would keep me by his side and cherish me no matter what, and I, too, was drawn to Black Dragon's thoughtfulness and tenderness, becoming pregnant within a year. After that, I gave birth to 9 more, each with extraordinary talent. The rabbit clan's talent for fertility was fully embodied in me. Outsiders all believed that Lady Snow, who resided in the bamboo forest, was a noble white rabbit, but they didn't know she was a frail black rabbit. So what if your spiritual power is low? You're just a wild chicken princess, still thinking you're a true phoenix, the second son roared, his face flushed. Kathy was so frightened that tears fell as she retreated repeatedly, clutching her sleeve. She looked up at the black dragon with grievance in her eyes, but the black dragon's face was icy cold. After merely glancing at her, he flew to my side. Meanwhile, the gray rabbit who had been too scared to speak earlier opened its mouth slightly, staring at the nephews in terror. "The whole bamboo forest smells of your mother." Her hand trembled as she pointed at me, her body uncontrollably leaning back, tears streaming down her face. "Go quickly and see your mother." Instantly, the bamboo forest fell silent. A small, pitch-black clump of filthy fur caught my eye on the ground. My equally dark eyes were also hidden within the inky black fur, until the black dragon appeared before me. Only then did a glimmer of moisture flicker in my eyes. The stench of charred flesh and tainted blood grew stronger, suddenly assaulting Black's nostrils. His body trembled, and he slowly squatted down in front of me. His large hands cradled my broken body. With his support, I no longer needed to strain to look up, and instantly lost all strength. "Snow?" I coughed lightly, and when I tried to respond to him, a harsh sound like fingernails scraping across tin escaped my lips. It was a sound that nearly tore him apart. "Husband, our child, is dead." All the children gathered around, their faces ashen, looking at me, who was no longer recognizable. The black mist enveloped the entire bamboo forest, creating an eerie and terrifying atmosphere. Kathy, realizing she had made a grave mistake, quickly tried to leave, but my sister tightly grabbed her hand. The gray rabbit that had nearly fainted from fright earlier was actually the most ferocious killer rabbit of our rabbit clan, previously in the demon realm. It had torn apart thousands of demonic beasts with its teeth, earning instant fame. This time, I went to the 9th heaven with the black dragon to receive rewards. At this moment, there was no trace of her earlier terrified and timid demeanor, only pure hatred filled her eyes. She bared her teeth and immediately tore the skin from Kathy's face. A cry of pain escaped as Kathy quickly transformed into a golden pheasant, scurrying fearfully across the ground. And the younger sister also transformed into a gray rabbit, continuously kicking the rooster in the face. In an instant, the ground was covered with the feathers of golden pheasants. Kathy lay on the ground trembling uncontrollably, her body completely bare, without a single feather left. Meanwhile, my sister, gnawing on her chicken wing, came running towards me. He forcefully threw Kathy to my side, then transformed into human form and gently approached me. Sister, that cry almost broke my heart. Rabbits are prolific breeders. The mother gave birth to litter after litter, bestowing names before drifting away. My sister and I have relied on each other for many years. As a gray rabbit, she was not cherished even among her own rabbit clan. Just before she was about to fall into darkness and turn demonic, it was I who held her back at the cost of half my life. Her love for me is no less than the black dragons. Going to the demon realm to slay demonic beasts was also to protect the peace of my territory. My sister's tears fell onto my no longer smooth fur, and I couldn't help but shed tears too, as she gently laid me down. She finally saw the golden light emanating from the hole in my chest. It's my child. 10 sons protected with their lives, one life exchanged for another. The dragon's murmur was almost suffocating. Suddenly, heavy rain poured down, smashing the green bamboo in the grove until it cracked and exploded. Fortunately, the dark dragon used a faint blue light to form a small protective barrier, shielding us from harm. Seeing this, my younger sister let out a mocking laugh. She tightened her grip around me and raised her eyes to glare fiercely at the dark dragon, almost through gritted teeth. Is this how you protect my sister, letting this mongrel chicken bully her? Black, you promised me you'd keep her safe. That's why I agreed to let you take her away. My younger sister sobbed, her grief in that moment utterly heartbreaking. The children all had pale faces, bowing their heads as if being scolded. Standing awkwardly by my side, the eldest, Chandler, glanced at his father's lifeless eyes and couldn't bear it. He hesitated before speaking. Auntie, the most urgent matter now is to treat Mother first. Father adored Mother deeply, and it was precisely because he knew she occasionally sneaked out that he secretly lifted the barrier. Father said that whatever Mother wanted to do, nothing should stand in her way. This was truly an accident. The Pheasant clan's marriage proposal had long been rejected by Father, but no one expected her to be a madwoman. Right now, Father's grief is as profound as yours. My younger sister sneered coldly, instinctively channeling her meager spiritual energy to save me. I shook my head, yet couldn't utter a single word of refusal. The dragon egg in my womb had protected me until now at the cost of its life, but without a heart, I was already at the end of my strength. You only have 300 years of lifespan left. No, you can't. I don't want anyone else to die because of me. The child is already gone. Must you take my sister too? Tears streaming down my face, I collapsed onto her palm, shaking my head in grief. The younger sister's eyes trembled, her lips barely managing to form a smile. Younger sister only survived because of you. I'm willing to exchange my life for hers. But the black dragon didn't wait for her to bid me farewell before swiftly taking me away. Golden light immediately radiated around him as he activated his heart scale to heal my true form. A glow instantly enveloped my body as I hastily expelled a mouthful of turbid energy. Husband, sweat poured down his forehead, and his lower lip was already bitten bloody. Noticing my gaze, he immediately smiled at me. Don't be afraid, it'll be over soon. Snow won't hurt anymore. The spiritual scale protecting his heart shattered instantly, scorching Black's most vulnerable spot. I struggled to get up, but he held me down firmly, continuously channeling spiritual energy into me. Only when my body stopped aching and my consciousness cleared did Black finally release me. And then he could no longer hold on, collapsing backward. Black, I immediately transformed into human form and flew toward him, clutching Black's body tightly. I looked down and realized he had transformed into a tiny dragon, lying quietly in my palm. He couldn't even open his eyes. Snow, it's all my fault. I failed to protect you, even though I swore I wouldn't let my beloved face life-threatening dangers. In the end, I'm still just that useless grass dragon who can't do anything right. Black's body grew increasingly cold, and I quickly turned my gaze toward the children. They looked at each other, with Chandler being the only one who stepped forward to take charge. Chandler guided his brothers in forming a defensive formation. Mother, there's no need to worry. We will protect Father and ensure his immortal soul remains intact. The current situation didn't unsettle him in the slightest. Instead, it made him even more composed. But my anxious heart still wouldn't settle as I carefully placed Black in the center, staring at him intently. Seeing this, my younger sister rose and carried me aside. Only when resting in her embrace did I find momentary peace, my trembling finally ceasing. Nephews, refine this pheasant. Her cultivation is substantial enough to serve as Black's heart protection. My sister saw Kathy wriggling on the ground and immediately shouted, grabbing Kathy's chicken wings and throwing them toward the barrier. Before Kathy could move, she was caught in the divine net. The net kept tightening until it compressed her to the size of a single spirit pill, yet Kathy's consciousness remained intact. A sharp voice emanated from the immortal pill, like a vengeful ghost from the underworld. No, no, I know I was wrong, let me go. I am the eldest princess of the Golden Pheasant clan. Do you know the consequences of killing me? Chandler frowned deeply. He immediately formed a hand seal and instantly pulled out Kathy's soul, tossing it into the nearby alchemy furnace. All the spiritual energy within her body was refined, leaving only an immortal pill crafted from her flesh. The second son glanced at it and, with even greater disdain, crushed it into a pulpy mess underfoot. Everyone focused on protecting Black's immortal soul. Only Kathy's spirit was screaming and wailing, "Stop, let me out, look at this. If you don't let me out now, I'll devour your mother's heart." Chandler's movements paused as he looked solemnly at the alchemy furnace. "Don't mind it," I shouted, clutching my chest, now fully restored by Black. While staring intently at the furnace, the black dragon exchanged his life for mine. "My broken heart has been mended with his protective scale. Don't bother with Kathy, just protect your father well." After saying this, I stood up. My younger sister supported me as we walked together to the alchemy furnace. Seeing the look in my eyes, she took out the poisonous insects she had hidden away for most of her life, let her thoroughly enjoy the heart-wrenching pain. By the time dawn broke, the wailing from the alchemy furnace finally ceased. Kathy, along with the venomous insects, was refined into the most poisonous pill in the celestial realm. "Your escape techniques are impressive, but without strong spiritual power to rely on, I can't help but worry about you. Keep this with you. It can be used for self-defense in critical moments." My younger sister nodded, carefully storing the poison pill, then gave me a shy smile. "Don't worry, I'm the killer rabbit. No one dares to mess with me." I sighed as she tightly grasped my hand. Meanwhile, the children's faces grew increasingly pale, drenched in sweat. Their spiritual energy was nearly exhausted. Chandler glanced at me and quickly offered a reassuring smile. "Please, Mother, bring the divine message box and activate it with spiritual power." I hurried back into the house. I carried out the box that had been untouched for several hundred years. Under the activation of spiritual power, it emitted a brilliant golden light. The next moment, someone suddenly stood behind me. Before I could react in surprise, he quickly walked over and looked down at Black. How could this be? Back then, he stole my powers and became an immortal in one fell swoop. I thought he would achieve something great, but in the end, he's just a useless grass dragon. The man's features bore some resemblance to Black's, yet carried a hint of wickedness. After he finished cursing, Chandler on the side let out a sigh. "Uncle, stop scolding. Father did it for the sake of the Dragon clan back then. Come lend a hand quickly, we can't hold on much longer." The man finally stopped complaining and sat down beside Chandler. The supreme aura emanating from him was even purer than Black's, yet his constitution was too weak to withstand the spiritual energy of inherited talents, rendering him incapable of great achievements. Back then, to ensure the Dragon clan's survival, they ordered Bruce to transfer his spiritual power to Black, who, despite his lowly status, possessed an extraordinary spiritual domain. Even now, resentment still lingers in his heart, yet he unexpectedly extends a helping hand. I watch quietly as they form their battle formation, looking down at Black, who faintly emits a golden glow. My heart fills with bitterness. After 1,000 years of marriage, I naturally know Black's past. His obsession with me stems from his similarly neglected origins. We both struggled just to survive. Everyone knows him as the Celestial Dragon Immortal. Yet none know how he was trampled and humiliated when he descended to the mortal realm as a mere grass dragon. By afternoon, the mist gradually dissipated. Black coughed up a mouthful of stagnant blood and finally managed to stand up. A dragon without its heart scale can hardly survive. Fortunately, with the spiritual power from his 9 children, his younger brother, and that golden pheasant, he managed to forge a new heart scale. "You fool, nearly got yourself killed over some mongrel rabbit." Truly a grass dragon, with such shallow insight. The man's tone was caustic. The dragon's 9 sons, each with their own strengths, he was born with an endless flow of spiritual power, arrogantly looking down upon everything, yet he lacked the capacity to bear it. His resentment toward his brother likely persisted for thousands of years because of this. "You actually chose to save me." Black lay in my palm and snorted lightly at Bruce. Bruce pursed his lips, looking down at Black. "From now on, we have nothing to do with each other. I've repaid my debt." I couldn't help but shake my head, claiming to loathe my brother in every possible way. yet despite being capable of resistance, he gave all his spiritual power to him without the slightest hesitation. In the end, Bruce couldn't quite sort out his feelings for Black either. After being accidentally saved by Black 1,000 years ago, he simply said he owed him a favor and stayed by his side ever since. It wasn't until Black started a family that Bruce secretly returned to his hometown. When I gave birth to Chandler, I caught him sneaking around by the door, wanting to come in but not daring to, afraid of breaking through the barrier and being discovered by his brother, yet still sharp-tongued and harsh. He made excuses about fearing the dragon bloodline might be impure and that he had to check. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry, so I used that as an excuse to have Black remove the barrier. I deliberately left the child alone in the room, letting him spend time with his uncle. Chandler possessed the formidable abilities he had always longed for. He was the most cherished of this exceptionally gifted child, and now, the only one who still maintained any connection with this reclusive and harsh uncle was Chandler. After speaking, Bruce turned and left abruptly, leaving us sitting there in silence. Black just watched his younger brother's retreating figure without saying a word. A few complex emotions flickered in his eyes. Chandler anxiously called out, "Uncle," several times. After gazing at his figure for a long while, he finally shrugged helplessly. With Uncle's temperament, he would definitely sneak back. He's actually most afraid of loneliness. I smiled and nodded, picking up Black as I stood, then carried him back to his room. I was about to go out to tidy up when Black bit my sleeve. "Don't go. Don't leave me, Snow. Don't abandon me alone, okay?" His eyes glistened with tears. Though he's just a small grass dragon now, I could still see the profound sorrow in his gaze. Instantly sharing his sorrow to the point of speechlessness, I bent down and embraced my beloved. I was so afraid I'd never see you again. Our child is gone. He gave his own life to save me. I sobbed uncontrollably. Black nestled against my neck, comforting me with gentle nuzzles. By the time my tears subsided, it was already midnight. The children, understanding the situation, didn't disturb us and helped their sister clean up the mess. He rested all afternoon and could barely manage to transform at last. His face was nearly transparent as he smiled at me. His eyes, like mine, were terrifyingly red. I never dared to tell Snow. Our dragon kind can bear no more than 9 offspring at most. I thought you wouldn't conceive again after giving birth to the 9th. Never expecting the rabbit clan's fertility to be so formidable. When you were pregnant, I was the first to detect it, yet I didn't know how to tell you. After all, if the 10th were born, it would surely trigger the 9 heavens calamity, and as the mother, you'd likely be reduced to ashes. 3 months in, the child in your womb had already developed spiritual awareness. Naturally unwilling to sadden you, it secretly transformed into nourishment to sustain you. This accident was the only way he had to make you aware of his existence. But I believe he had no regrets dying for you. Snow, don't be sad. As long as you live, he lives. After saying this, Black pressed his forehead against mine. I blankly touched my lower abdomen, my parched eyes unable to shed tears. Looking towards Black, my emotions were complicated. After this, I won't be able to conceive again. The child protected me with its life, and the gestational sac was destroyed as a result. The next day, we erected a cenotaph for our 10th child. It contained nothing but some of the undergarments I wore while carrying him. Swift to come, swift to depart, I sat beside that small gravestone until the following day. They stayed in the mountains to watch over me, concerned for my well-being. Originally, my sister came here to reminisce with me. Now that I'm facing such a significant event, she has refused to leave for over half a month. She remains by my side, not allowing Black to approach me without permission. The children also stayed by my side for over a month. Only because they had to travel between the demon realm and the celestial realm did they reluctantly leave in haste. The bamboo forest grew much quieter, except for when she occasionally quarreled with Black. One day, my younger sister pushed open my door. "Sister, I must return tonight. I've accepted a mission and need to earn some spiritual energy to sustain my life." She blinked, her eyes filled with reluctance. My heart tightened. I gently held my sister's hand, not knowing when I'd see her again. I've survived this long only under the Dragon Clan's protection, yet my sister stands alone, shunning all but me. Destined to be turbulent and rootless, and destined to have a short lifespan. Sister, there's no need to grieve or overthink. If I don't return, just think of me as having gone out to play. After all, we will meet again in the end. She gave a dashing smile and pressed my hand against her forehead. "I will miss you until the end of my life." With those words, she held me tightly, and I lay in her embrace, sobbing uncontrollably. She turned and left, disappearing into the deep autumn. For many years afterward, she never came back to see me. I thought my little sister had just gone on a long trip, as playful as she was in childhood, forgetting the time, in the bamboo grove, after the last accident. Black rebuilt the barrier once more. Now, no one except those of the bloodline could enter. Bruce had secretly come a few times. Being brothers with Black, he was also able to wander freely around the bamboo grove. Of course, only Chandler would greet this eccentric uncle. Black knew that Bruce had come, but neither stopped him nor paid him any attention. A dragon sneaking around, looking just like a guilty cat. Over time, we stopped pretending not to know. During the new year, we even specifically invited Bruce to join us at the table for dinner. Naturally, the proud dragon refused to associate with us. One person lay on the eaves, wagging their tails smugly. Upon learning of Kathy's incident, the Golden Pheasant clan clamored to wage war against the Black Dragon lineage. But now, with gods and demons locked in battle, the Nine Heavens still relied on the Black Dragon for protection, so they paid no heed to the Golden Pheasant's clamor. Even the Phoenix clan paid them no heed. Yet these little pheasants somehow conceived such delusions. From the very beginning, she shouldn't have indulged in wishful thinking. She clearly knew father had someone he loved. The children chattered incessantly, making my head ache terribly. Black cleared his throat lightly, finally managing to stop their endless prattle. The year of heavy snow, the century-long war between gods and demons finally reached its end. I stood guard at the bamboo grove entrance, awaiting their triumphant return. Before long, a brilliant light appeared before my eyes. Black, filled with a murderous aura, smiled at me. I'm back. My anxious heart finally settled as I nodded at him, but I noticed the children hiding something, shielding it from view. My heart inexplicably started pounding wildly, as if my long-lost sister had finally returned. Sure enough, I heard a clear, crisp laugh. Enough, enough, my sister can't take teasing. Dear sister, I've finally— the gray rabbit whimpered and couldn't hold back tears when looking at me. I've finally returned. My younger sister had lost one hand, and even one of her eyes was covered with black cloth, covered in wounds, but she's still alive. I covered my mouth, swallowing the grief in my heart. I quickly walked over to her and took my sister's hand. Just come back safely. The winter snow fell for 3 months that year, yet the small bamboo grove remained so warm, as if nothing had ever happened. Everyone had returned. After hearing the first story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Next, there is another similar story. Let's continue to see. After being expelled from my master's sect, I established my own school. Because I love fluffy little animals, all my disciples are demon cultivators. I teach them shape-shifting and guide them in their cultivation. Later, my former fiancé came knocking at my door again. Junior sister is severely injured and needs dear heart for medicine. If you're willing to offer it, the master will let bygones be bygones and take you back. Before the words could finish, the squirrel sitting on the tree had already impatiently drawn its longbow, aiming straight at him. The day my master expelled me from the sect, I took in my first disciple. It was Jacob, a stray cat near the sect. My junior sister accused me of colluding with demonic cultivators and harming fellow disciples. The entire sect, hundreds of people, only it believed in me. My disciple jade token was smashed by my senior brother, and my robes were taken back. Amidst the curses of my fellow disciples, I picked up my broken life-bound sword, covered in wounds, and slowly walked out of the mountain gate. It tugged at my skirt, pulling me back, its expression urgent. I know it wasn't you who did it. I can testify for you. The wound on my back ached faintly. I bent down, cradled it in my arms, and let out a soft sigh. They've already made up their minds. No matter how much we say, it'll just sound like excuses. Will you come with me? I'll teach you cultivation. The master prided himself on being upright and pure, always disdaining to associate with demonic cultivators. He never accepted demon disciples. Demons who traveled thousands of miles to seek apprenticeship could only wander near the sect, endured countless scornful looks. Jacob didn't hesitate. It nodded, rubbing its face against my palm. I'll go with you. I found a deserted mountain, picked up a branch from the ground, and carved 4 characters on the boulder at the summit. Fluffy sect. This is the name of my sect. I am the sect leader. I patted Jacob's head and solemnly told it, from now on, you shall be my first disciple. The boundless sect has no place for Jacob and me. Then we'll establish our own school. From then on, Jacob started calling me master. He became very serious. It even pricked up its ears, stood up, let its hands hang down, and stared at me with its round, bright black eyes. I was squatting on the ground giving it a lecture when my hand holding the branch trembled. Why did you suddenly stand up? Jacob just stood there without a word, its orange ears twitching slightly. I've heard that senior sisters are supposed to be very dignified. That's truly awe-inspiring. I was filled with deep respect. Great. In the second month of living independently, Jacob brought a squirrel to me, holding it in his mouth. The squirrel was covered in wounds and couldn't stop trembling. Little me, today is really the end. First got shot by an arrow, then got caught by a cat. I was startled. What are you catching it for? Jacob licked his cat, looking serious. Master, do you like it? Can it be my junior brother? The squirrel froze in shock. I said, sure, but why didn't you explain it clearly? You've scared it half to death now, Jacob replied. The moment I opened my mouth, it would have fallen. I bent down, picked up the squirrel, and gently stroked its wound with my fingertips, channeling a bit of spiritual energy. Would you like to join the fluffy sect? Its fluffy tail swayed behind as it asked softly, with a hint of hesitation, would you accept a demonic cultivator? I nodded. The fluffy sect specializes in collecting fluffy animals. It happily grunted twice, then leaped from my arms and ran to a nearby tree, burrowing into a tree hollow to dig and dig. Soon enough, it returned with a pile of chestnuts and walnuts. This is the tuition gift. I've heard that humans place great importance on etiquette. I crouched down and accepted its gift of dried meat. There's no need for such formalities, but thank you anyway. That very day, I carved 2 wooden tokens to signify our master-disciple relationship. Once there was only Jacob, no need to distinguish. Now with the addition of the second disciple, Walnut, the group is gradually growing. It's time to establish some proper traditions befitting a respectable sect. I've taken in many more disciples. There are dogs and cats, and sometimes even tigers and leopards. Some demon cultivators even brought their entire families along. 3 generations of ancestors became equal senior and junior siblings in the fluffy sect, until one day, Jacob brought back a pangolin and a snake. I stared at the words, fluffy sect, before me, lost in thought. I lowered my head. The pangolin and snake looked at me with starry eyes. No species discrimination allowed, so I picked up the branch again and added a few more words in the middle. It became, the fluffy and the bald sect. Whether they're cute or not, I'll take them as disciples first. Fortunately, this mountain is big enough. There is a complete food chain within the sect. Thus, I established the first sect rule. No one is allowed to say to a fellow disciple, "Junior brother, you smell so good." Uniform disciple robes are also a must. I thought about it and chose the simplest and most convenient option, arranged the leaves in a circle to form a skirt. Everyone wore leaf skirts, primitive and wild, because the species were different. Everyone's talents varied. Jacob loves using his paws. Acorn can dart quickly through the woods. The fawn enjoys crafting tools with its shed antlers every year. After learning how to craft, it made me a new sword and even fashioned a bow for Acorn. I really enjoy watching my disciples transform. It feels like opening a mystery box. I wonder what their human forms will look like. Jacob's human form is that of an ethereal, tall fairy. At first glance, she's clearly the senior sister, but she loves wearing orange clothes that match her fur color. Upon closer look, she seems a bit silly. Walnut's human form is a lively and cheerful young boy, dressed in black with a high ponytail, full of vigor and vitality, but he loves to jump around. This makes him a bit like a monkey. My third disciple, Puppy, is a Dalmatian, full of ideas. Her human form features jet black hair and white robes, always fanning herself with a folding fan. That's quite wise. The fourth disciple is a tiger. After transforming, he became so strong that he could punch 10 of his former selves with one strike. In the 15th year, Fluffy and the Bald sect became a renowned major sect. The number of disciples was large, really large. Any stray cat picked up by the roadside could be one of my disciples out training. The protected animals in the sect could land me in prison. From the dawn of creation until a monkey comes to relieve my shift, I've gone from small class teaching to supersized classes. When I lecture from the mountaintop, the line of listening disciples stretches all the way to the mountainside. The spotted dog suggested to me, "Master, you could create a class schedule, 200 lectures a day. But you'd only need to speak to 50 disciples each time." I was horrified. 200 times a day? Are you trying to send me to meet Yama, the spotted dog? Then you'd become a ghost cultivator. I have another idea. Me, little mouth, keep it shut. Life was supposed to continue being this busy and bustling, until one day, when I was in seclusion, Jacob, who was acting as the sect leader, sent me a message. "Master, someone has arrived. He claims to be the head disciple of the No-Love sect. the head disciple of the no-love sect, my former fiancé, Simon. In my plans, I was supposed to grow into a serene, emotionless fairy cultivating the path of heartlessness. Rumor has it that practicing the path of heartlessness requires killing one's destined partner, so, since childhood, I was betrothed to Simon, not exactly to kill him, though. It's quite a match in terms of social status. He's an orphan, and so am I. Everyone thinks we're quite suitable for living together. Sounds a bit like finding a companion in the sunset years. After several years of cultivation, I realized that the path of emotionlessness wasn't suited for me, because I have a low threshold for laughter, far from being aloof and detached, so I swiftly switched to the path of all living beings. Later, when my junior sister joined the sect, Simon and I gradually grew apart, until we became sworn enemies, just like my junior sister. He looked down upon the demon race from his high horse. After I was framed, he despised me even more. He personally carried out my execution and even shattered my life-bound sword. The visitor comes with ill intent. We must meet him. Simon still looks the same as he did 15 years ago, arrogant beyond measure. He wore a white robe trimmed with gold, his appearance extraordinary. Yet he was nothing but a wolf in sheep's clothing. His words were just as foul. Junior sister is severely injured and needs a deer's heart for medicine. If you're willing to offer it, Master will let bygones be bygones and take you back. I tightened my grip on the sword hilt, my eyelids twitching. He wanted my disciple's life. The walnut perched on the treetop could no longer restrain itself. Silently, he transformed the pinecone in his hand into a sharp arrow, knocking it to the bowstring. I enunciated each word clearly. I refuse. Deer is my disciple. There's absolutely no possibility of heart extraction. He smiled, casually raising his sword with the blade pointed at me, its edge gleaming sharply. Lydia, this isn't your decision to make. I pity your youthful ignorance, having strayed from the right path, and offer you a chance to repent. Do not persist in your obstinacy. Your entire fluffy and bald sect is filled with demonic cultivators. Do you think you can withstand even a single strike from my sword? I closed my eyes briefly, barging into my sect without cause, seeking to take my disciple's life. Is this the behavior of a self-proclaimed righteous cultivator from the boundless sect? Simon frowned, gazing at me indifferently, and said coldly, demons and humans are not the same. I have no intention of arguing with you. I ask you one last time, just answer me. Will you hand him over or not? I drew my long sword and pointed it at him. No, back then, I was alone, and my cultivation was no match for his. Some hardships are better endured and forgotten, just my luck. But now I'm the sect leader, with countless disciples behind me. I can't retreat again. Simon swiftly drew his sword, a flash of white light shooting straight for my face. Then it came to an abrupt halt. It was the pangolin leaping into the air, its scales forming an impenetrable barrier that blocked the strike. I darted to his side and thrust my sword. He swiftly crossed his blade to block. The long swords clashed, sparking a blinding silver light. I was forced back 2 steps by the tremendous surge of spiritual energy. A metallic taste welled up in the throat. The walnut plucked the scales from the pinecone, and the sharp seed scales, carrying a fierce wind, spiraled toward him. Simon lifted his gaze slightly and flicked his sleeve to deflect them. In a flash, a white light streaked by. His blade pressed close to my throat, stopping just an inch away. As expected of the personal disciple of the no-love sect's leader, his strength is extraordinary. He frowned and asked in a low voice, for the sake of a mere deer demon, you'd make an enemy of me. Lydia, you can't defeat me. I wiped the blood from the corner of my mouth and forced a smile, all for a mere deer demon. His tone was laced with mockery. You colluded with demonic cultivators to harm your fellow disciples, and now you'd turn against me for a deer demon. We had already turned against each other long ago, long before he indiscriminately tortured me. I snapped my fingers. Simon looked up at me. You really had a backup plan. Before he could finish, I had already grabbed an unshaped disciple beside me and fled using the pangolin's earth escape technique. If you can't beat him, then run first. In the cultivation world where strength speaks, the ability to bend and stretch is most important. On my left, I lead a yellow hound. On my right, I hold a blue falcon. Jacob has transformed into a plump orange tabby, carrying the junior sisters like a large cart. Everyone, with their families in tow, ran off in a mighty procession. Now, the real escape was about to begin. The voles and wild rabbits had dug dozens of holes underground. Jacob was carrying a vole in his mouth. The field mouse leads the way at the front. This is the largest animal migration in the cultivation world in the past 500 years. While casting shrinking spells for the overly large disciples, I comfort everyone. where there's life, there's hope. Though our cultivation is weak, we have numbers on our side. Let's spare him today and return in 50 years. They'll get what's coming to them." The little deer carried the hares in the middle of the group, hopping along as it ran. Suddenly, tears glistened in its pitch-black eyes. "Master, did I hold you all back?" I looked up at the sky and said, "No, not at all. If you hadn't made me a sword, I would have been captured today." His voice dropped. "If it weren't for me, Master wouldn't have been beaten." I sighed softly. "If it wasn't you, it would have been someone else." Everyone cultivates, but without achieving profound cultivation, they only become better nourishment. It sounds a bit hellish when you put it that way, but that's exactly how the people of the Boundless sect think. The mountains and forests are full of deer, but Junior Sister only wants the best deer demon. I patted his head. This year, his antlers had just fallen off, leaving only soft ears and young horns on his head. He appeared docile and non-threatening. I said, "Don't think so much, just focus on cultivating for now." I led the entire sect to migrate to the border of the cultivation world. Few people ever come here. The dozen or so pigeons in the sect take turns going out to gather information. White Pigeon A said, "The Boundless sect is offering a hefty reward to find out the whereabouts of our sect, but since we escaped by burrowing underground, no one knows." White Pigeon B said, "I heard that the Boundless sect's Junior Sister's injury hasn't healed, and she's been in seclusion. Many people haven't seen her since." White Pigeon C said, "I heard that the Junior Sister was injured while shielding Simon from a sword. The sword pierced her heart, which is why it's so difficult to recover." Gray Pigeon D said, "The Junior Sister tried Deer Heart, but it had no effect. Simon declared that he would spare no expense to find the most talented deer demon to heal the Junior Sister. The little deer originally slept for 3 hours every day. Now, he doesn't sleep for even an hour, eating pills as his meals. The little bear who refines the pills can only stay up late with him, hugging his alchemy pot and stirring even harder inside the pot. To maintain the dignity of a senior sister, Jacob insisted on scratching hard cat scratching boards for 10 hours every day to train her sharp claws. The Dalmatian walked over, fanning itself with a folding fan, walked away, fanning with a folding fan. "Everyone, listen to me, I have a new idea." The tiger played along and responded, "Let's hear it." The Dalmatian started spouting nonsense again. "Let's quietly go kill their junior sister, then our junior brother won't have to gouge out his heart." The tiger, sigh, "What a dog-brained strategist." The pangolin, sigh, "Probably ate too many completed pills." Jacob, sigh, "Why do we have to hide? It's so hard to guess." I have gained new insights as well. My aptitude is no worse than Simon's, yet my cultivation falls short of his. Since I switched to the path of all living beings, my cultivation has nearly stagnated. Once, my master taught me to claim all things as my own. This contradicts the way of all living beings. The way of all living beings cherishes all beings under heaven. All things have spirits, treat them kindly, and the world will be at peace. My master couldn't teach me these things. The Boundless sect couldn't tolerate me either. I was never one of them to begin with. We've all been hiding and cultivating quietly for years. Lightning tribulations struck down one after another during the Golden Core formation. Due to the excessive number of cultivators undergoing tribulation and the overwhelming commotion, we were forced to migrate once every year. The wild geese occasionally flew southward, then northward again. This still aligned with their natural instincts. With such unpredictable movements, no one should have been able to find us. When we migrated north once again, Simon appeared yet another time, leading dozens of inner disciples to block my path. He stood poised like a crane with his sword, flanked by a group of disciples. Behind him was the junior sister, Luna. Her face was pale, wrapped in a thick cloak, with a protective jade bracelet artifact on her wrist. She was so weak she could barely stand, barely supported by a senior sister. I glanced at him. At a glance, I could tell he was at the nascent soul's 6th stage. Already no match for me. White Dove circled above my head, transmitting a message through the air. Luna used the magical compass from the artifact division to find us. She must really be at her limit. I looked over, somewhat puzzled. Though weakened, she was still a human cultivator, and with the jade bracelet protecting her, she shouldn't be unable to stand. Simon blocked my line of sight, his gaze sharp and cold. "I know you held resentment because your junior sister exposed you back then, but with me here today, don't even think about harming her in the slightest." He was too protective of her. I lowered my head and stroked Jacob in my arms. "I won't harm her. She was already too weak to withstand any further blow. There was no need for me to strike again. I was just a little curious. My junior sister was brought into the sect by me. we were once as close as sisters, so why did she suddenly change overnight and seek to kill me? The sect leader despises harming fellow disciples above all else. The second grievance is degrading oneself by colluding with demonic cultivators to commit evil deeds. That year, my sixth junior brother was injured by a deer demon that broke into our sect, having 3 of his ribs kicked and broken by the deer's hooves. The entire sect was both shocked and terrified, unable to comprehend how the deer demon had breached the protective barrier. It was my junior sister who stepped forward to accuse me. I have always been on good terms with the demonic cultivators. This is the first piece of evidence. My junior sister is closest to me, and her testimony is the second piece of evidence. As the second senior sister, I have the ability to open the barrier. This is the third piece of evidence. At that time, our master was in seclusion. Simon, acting as the sect leader, easily made his judgment. According to the sect rules, after giving me 20 lashes, he expelled me from the sect. Fortunately, my cultivation was strong enough, and I endured it. If it had been an ordinary person, they would have either died or been crippled. Simon pointed his sword at me. Jacob glared at him angrily, his fur bristling. The monks beside him, the one with a bow had already drawn the string, while the one with a hammer had raised it high. He stared fixedly at me, casually twirling his sword with a flourish. Today, I will no longer show mercy or spare any feelings. Junior sister can't wait any longer. The pangolin scales are much larger than they were many years ago. They almost blot out the sky, sheltering everyone beneath them. The cultivator's arrows snapped easily upon touching the scales. Walnut stood behind the pangolin, and a volley of arrows was unleashed. Almost every arrow hit its mark. Simon was fully focused on dealing with me. Jacob, in my arms, leaped up and, cooperating with me, scratched his neck with his claws. One by one, the people beside Simon fell. He finally realized something was wrong. He took 2 steps back, propping his sword on the ground to raise a shield, while looking up to question me. They were all your former sect members, yet you're so ruthless. I was a little tired and rubbed my temples. Simon, it was you who pushed us first. His shield came too late. One of the arrows Walnut had shot was already flying behind him. He remembered not to hurt Luna and deliberately held back his strength. An arrow happened to shatter the jade bracelet on Luna's wrist. A fierce white light burst from the crack in the bracelet. As the shattered jade hit the ground, Luna's face turned pale in response. She had already been devoid of color, but now she looked as pale and fragile as a piece of paper, teetering on the edge. The fawn suddenly looked up, its eyes narrowing, and whispered in my ear, "Lou." I scratched my head. Did I forget to introduce her to you? She was my junior fellow apprentice. And her surname is indeed Lou. Her name is Luna. He shook his head. She's a dear. I was stunned. The fragmented memories in my mind finally connected. The night before Luna and I broke up, she put on the modified disciple robe she had altered, applied makeup, and came running over with a smile, asking me to take a look. "Senior sister, does this look good?" Under the warm yellow candlelight, her features were as exquisite as a painting. Those almond-shaped eyes were the most distinctive, round, bright, and glistening, like a lively young deer in the forest. I smiled and complimented her as usual. "It looks great, like a little deer." She froze for a moment, the smile on his lips cracked little by little. I just didn't notice. As a deer demon, she had become one of the most trusted disciples of the Boundless sect's leader, naturally cautious, sensitive, and thoughtful. During my travels, I often associated with demonic cultivators and came to understand them well. She mistakenly thought I had seen through her disguise, so they deliberately framed me, getting me expelled from the sect. Later, for Simon's sake, she was severely injured and needed a heart transplant. No wonder she insisted on the deer demon's heart. No wonder she still couldn't stand steady even with a protective magical artifact. Cultivating as a demon is inherently a step behind humans. Maintaining human form already consumes a portion of spiritual energy. I took a light breath, casually catching the falling petals in the air, pinching them between my fingers, and tossed them toward Luna. Simon gripped the hilt of his sword and channeled his spiritual energy into the shield. He stared at me, looking displeased. "You clearly said you wouldn't hurt her." The petals effortlessly passed through the shield and landed on Luna's forehead. Simon's face turned from green to white, and his expression stiffened. He could hardly tear his eyes away, staring motionlessly at my hand. As if unable to believe that my current strength far surpassed his own, he even forgot to glance back at his junior sister, who had already reverted to her deer form. I gently combed through Jacob's fur with my fingers and smiled warmly at him. He was struck by lightning. Luna cried. She hung her head, whimpering softly. Desperate and mournful, her deer form was much better than her human form. If she didn't have to maintain her human form, she wouldn't need the heart of a deer demon. Simon also heard the deer's cry. He turned his head slowly and hesitantly, seeing a deer lying on the ground. She was draped in a platinum gold cloak. The jade tablet on the ground revealed her identity. His hand, gripping the sword hilt, trembled slightly, and his expression suddenly changed, as if in disbelief. Then he pressed me. "What did you do to my junior sister?" "I'm tired of explaining." The fawn spoke for me. "She was a deer to begin with." Simon couldn't believe it. He also detested demon cultivators, yet, he didn't realize that his most beloved junior sister was also a demon. He dropped his sword, his shoulders trembling, his eyes red, asking again and again, if she was a demon cultivator, why would she join the boundless sect? If she was a demon cultivator, why did she block that sword for me? I didn't understand Luna's thoughts, nor could I answer for her. I remained silent. Jacob, curious, poked his head out from my arms and looked over. Luna lay on the ground, crying hysterically. It took a long time for her to calm down, and she choked out her first words. For myself, after receiving 20 lashes, my senior sister still retained most of her cultivation. I was afraid she would deliberately retaliate against me and destroy everything I had painstakingly built up over half my life. So I took a sword strike for my senior brother. From then on, her accusations against me and my schemes against her could be twisted into a rivalry for our senior brother's affection. At worst, I would only receive 5 lashes and be confined for reflection. She closed her eyes, her expression sorrowful, but I miscalculated. The sword deviated slightly, piercing directly through my heart. Simon's face turned ashen. He seemed to be unable to hold on any longer. Clutching his chest and suddenly spitting out a large mouthful of blood, I stepped past him, walked forward, leaned over her, and calmly asked, "What about the deer demon who hurt her back then? Where did it come from?" Luna cried again. This time, I cried until I vomited blood. The deer's body also showed signs of cracking. I stroked her head, and the spiritual power from my fingertips poured out, helping her stabilize her physical body. Her once melodious voice was now hoarse beyond recognition. "It's my sister, Luan. Our mother was captured by cultivators to be refined into pills, and my sister and I were hidden in a cave, narrowly escaping death. After that, we vowed to cultivate diligently to avenge our mother. My sister is naive and pure, and her aptitude isn't as good as mine, so I left home first to seek a master. When I arrived at the No-Love sect, I learned that the sect leader doesn't accept demonic cultivators. None of the sects within several miles would take demonic cultivators. They despise us for lacking human sensibilities, for needing an extra step to take human form, and for being seen merely as ingredients or medicinal materials. I didn't dare return to tell my sister this news, so I could only cultivate here alone. Later, a cultivator failed to survive a tribulation and left behind a few protective artifacts. After I achieved human form, I wore the artifacts to deceive everyone and begged a senior sister to take me to seek a master. After joining the Boundless sect, I realized that the spell used by the cultivator who took my mother was merely a minor foundation establishment stage technique. After transforming into human form, it only took me 3 years to reach foundation establishment, allowing me to easily protect my mother and sister. Later, I avenged myself and sent a message to my sister, worried about me. She specifically came to the Boundless sect to see me. I told her everything, including that senior sister Lydia had discovered I was a demon cultivator. We conspired and came up with a plan to frame senior sister, causing her to be expelled from the sect and lose credibility with everyone. I was so afraid of losing everything I had now, so afraid of not being able to protect my sister. Her body began to tremble again. I remained silent, forming a hand seal to comfort her. The plan should have gone smoothly, but I never expected Master to emerge from seclusion early. The aura on Six's senior brother hadn't dissipated yet, and an enraged Master easily tracked my sister down by following it. Before I sent my sister away, I left her many magical artifacts I had forged myself. She could have escaped, but to avoid exposing me, she didn't carry a single artifact on her. She just died like that, by Master's sword. Her voice was almost choked. My sister is dead too. I just want revenge. Master's cultivation is too high, and later I was severely injured. Only by replacing my heart with one from a deer demon of exceptional talent could I possibly continue cultivating. Waiting for the day I surpass Master, she looked up, forcing a smile, and said through gritted teeth, "Senior sister Lydia, you needn't pity me. If the eldest brother hadn't already been no match for you, I would have surely taken your disciple's heart, even if he is of my own kind." The little deer shrank behind me. I shielded him, my mind a tangled mess of thoughts. I should seek revenge. She caused me to endure 20 lashes and coveted my disciple's heart. Perhaps cultivating the path of all beings softened my heart too much. The hand holding my sword trembled violently. The sword clattered to the ground. Luna transformed back into her human form. She propped herself up with her hands and crawled towards me with great difficulty. Grabbing the hem of my skirt, she looked up. Tears in the eyes, a few words a gasp. The teacher, elder sister, I wish you earlier housekeep. I opened my mouth, unsure how to answer. There are many disciples who betray their masters, but few who leave because their paths diverge. If I hadn't been expelled from the sect because of her, I probably would have stayed in the boundless sect to cultivate, living a mediocre life, and who knows when I would have graduated. After graduating, the disciples I take in must also be reviewed by the sect master. It's hard for any demon cultivator to join my sect, isn't it? The little deer no longer hid. He looked down at her, a few whimpers escaping his throat. Her current body couldn't sustain a transformation. As the last few words fell, she transformed back into a deer and closed her eyes. Those bright, sparkling eyes never opened again. I channeled my spiritual power, and the wind brought a shower of blossoms, landing in my palm. Ever since I comprehended the path of all beings, all natural flora can become my weapons, but I just gently covered her with the flowers. Let bygones be bygones. The battlefield was in complete chaos. Luna died. Simon was utterly despondent, his heart shattered. The others were severely injured, their spiritual foundations damaged. Jacob asked me, Master, what should we do? Will the no-love sect's leader come to seek revenge on us? I shook my head and said softly, no more. Luna is very clever. She had a way to find us even in such a weakened state. As the sect leader's closest disciple, she naturally also had ways to pull some strings. In just 2 days, Pigeon Bee quickly gathered the news and flew back to inform us. The sect leader of the Endless Sect heard that his eldest disciple had lost his heart and his youngest disciple was a demonic cultivator. Overwhelmed with rage, he suffered a gas deviation and lost his mind. He became unrecognizable, even attacking his own eldest disciple, Simon. Now, he has been slain by a coalition of righteous cultivators. The Fluffy and Bald sect became the largest sect within a 1,000-mile radius. I returned to the original mountain. The tiger moved a huge stone over. The deer hopped around, carving on the stone. Walnut jumped up and down, helping him hand over the hammer and fetch things. A few days later, Jacob excitedly led me to see. This is the door my junior apprentice made. The stone gate stood tall and solemn. A field mouse obediently nestled into my palm. I lifted it up, dipped its tail in ink, and inscribed the plaque, the Fluffy and Bald sect. The vole trembled all over. Master, it's a bit itchy. I really want to laugh, I whispered comfortingly. Just bear with it. The sect is poor, we don't have a brush, and we can't pull your whiskers to make one. The plaque was inscribed. Walnut used its tail to roll up the plaque and hung it at the highest point of the stone gate. Jacob said, Junior brother still needs to lay the steps. This way, we'll be just like the other major sects. Later, other sect leaders started bringing me to their meetings. Some of my disciples traveled the lands, while others went into secluded cultivation. Jacob always liked to stay in his original form and run around. Cultivators from other sects didn't recognize her. The first time they saw her, they would tiptoe closer and call out in a high-pitched voice, Meow, come here, meow. Wherever Jacob appeared, there was always a chorus of meows. Not a single one was from her. Jacob disdained the group of people whose cultivation was inferior to hers, lifted her head, and tiptoed away. She only plays with me. The golden core stage kitten purrs contentedly when I scratch her chin. Even though she's over 50, she still loves to knead on soft cushions. On important occasions, Jacob still had to take human form. For example, the sect's triennial apprenticeship ceremony. As the sect leader, I needed to maintain a bit of mystique. As the senior disciple, Jacob needed to exude a bit of authority. She arranged many things. Sent Walnut to bring the little demon outside the mountain gate inside. Had the pangolin guide the little demon. Had the spotted dog register the little demon. Also, have the leopard keep an eye on the increasingly robust and enthusiastic tiger to prevent him from running out to help the little demons, lest he scare them away. I didn't test their potential. I took in every single demon. They came all this way, and the kids are still young. Don't go back. Be my apprentice. The new kitten brought me its favorite catnip. I took both food and gifts. Leave the catnip. And leave the cat too. Later, Jacob became an elder, and the spotted dog became someone else's master. I occasionally still think of the past. I think of Luna when she first started. She was timid, yet curious about everything in the sect. She asked me, "Senior sister, how long did it take you to form your core?" I said, 20 years. She then asked, "Is it easier to make progress if you cultivate the heartless Tao?" I thought for a moment and said, "Not necessarily. It depends on one's comprehension." She seemed to have endless questions, always following me and Simon around. "Then how can I become as strong as you, senior brother?" I smiled and said, "Just focus on your cultivation, and you'll get there." Simon glanced at me then, somewhat helplessly, and said, "Focus on your cultivation, and don't end up like your senior sister, spending all her time with demonic cultivators. It's unbecoming." Luna was quiet for a moment, then asked softly, "Then, senior brother, how do you view demons?" Simon said indifferently, "They are merely beasts." Luna's eyebrows twitched slightly. She looked up, a docile smile on her face, and echoed, "Yes, I don't think much of them either." Her thoughts were abruptly interrupted. The sect master of Cloud's sect asked me, "Has true monarch Lydia ever considered taking human disciples?" I smiled faintly. "I have, but there's no need. I respect all living beings and believe there is no difference between humans and demons. However, most sects only accept humans, and there's no shortage of places for humans to go without my fluffy and bald sect." Silence fell all around. I took a sip of tea, then gently set the teacup down. "Does anyone else have anything to say?" Everyone exchanged glances and said in unison, "No, we're done." I stood up and brushed the dust from my sleeves. "Then the meeting is adjourned." The sect master of Cloud slightly bowed and saluted me. "Yes, I always thought Luna should be reincarnated at this time. At this time, I was the formidable cultivator Lydia in the cultivation world. At this time, the fluffy and bald sect was the foremost major sect in the south. By this time, Jacob had become famous as a cat, a chivalrous wanderer roaming far and wide." She unreservedly used "Orange Cat Immortal" as her honorific title, protecting all orange cats under heaven. Unfortunately, Luna didn't get a chance to start over. I let out a long sigh. The little disciple cat lying beside me lifted its head and looked over with concern. "Is the Grandmaster unhappy?" "The mountain is bustling with activity. Walnut is teaching the junior disciple, the little squirrel, how to shoot arrows." After hearing the term, dog-headed strategist, the spotted dog became unusually excited, calling himself the dog-headed immortal, and even retained his dog head when transforming into human form. She walked back and forth, her dog's head bobbing, fanning herself with a folding fan. "I have a plan. You shouldn't teach him that way. You should give him a target." Walnut looked up at her, full of suspicion. "What kind of target?" The Dalmatian smiled slightly. "It's very simple. Have his master stand in front with an apple on his head. Out of reverence for his master, he will surely hit it." The little squirrel's master poked his head out of the hole. "Are you going to kill me, senior sister?" The spotted dog closed his folding fan and used its bone to tap him back underground. No need to mind him. The demons of the sect often played and bickered when they had nothing to do, lively and bustling. I empty my mind, not overthinking, looking up at the vast clear sky. The sunlight is just right. This is already the best outcome. That's all the story. What do you think of this story? Share with me in the comments section. What would you do if you were in this situation? Looking forward to hearing from you. If you like this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.